When you think of homelessness, what comes to mind? Often people think of older men living on the streets and panhandling to get by. Although there are certainly individuals who fit this description, this perception does not capture the reality of the issue today. These individuals represent the more visible experience of homelessness, but there is a whole other side that generally goes unnoticed. Children and families are the fastest growing groups experiencing homelessness. In fact, there are approximately 1.6 million children who experience homelessness in the United States each year, including an estimated 6,000 in Greater Cincinnati. Unfortunately, these numbers continue to rise each year. It may surprise you to learn that the average age of a person experiencing homelessness is 9 years old. Children experiencing homelessness range from high school students all the way down to babies.
How old are you?
5.
11.
6. 4.
I'm 11.
8. 4.
Families and children are often characterized as the invisible homeless because rather than being on the streets, they may be temporarily doubled up with friends or family, staying in cars, trailers, motels, or passing between emergency shelters. The main causes of homelessness are loss of income and lack of affordable housing. And the parents in these situations, often single mothers, are generally trying very hard to get jobs and secure housing for their families. But due to the stigma associated with homelessness, they often hide their situation, as do their children. Do you ever tell your friends that you're staying here?
No, I don't need them to know my privacy.
Mm-hmm. What do you think that they would, how they would feel if you told them that?
That, oh, you live in a shelter. Oh, you're homeless and whatever else, and you're like a little kid, like a wimp or whatever else.
I'm not comfortable with it because it's my business.
At a transitional housing facility where I worked, we had to talk to the school district and say, no, drop them off 2 blocks away. Drop off the kids from the bus 2 blocks away because they're getting dropped off directly in front of the housing facility. And everybody knew what this place was. They called it a homeless shelter. It wasn't necessarily a shelter, but it was a homeless facility. So all the kids got made fun of because everybody knew that if you got off at that stop, you were homeless. And sometimes that's just what happens. So just moving it 2 blocks away was actually just amazing for the kids because nobody else picked up on it. Nobody else said anything because 2 blocks away was by the baseball fields.
Our interviews with children staying in Cincinnati homeless shelters reveal the many obstacles they face, particularly with regards to education, which can lead them to fall far behind their peers academically. Education is critical to a child's future and to breaking the cycle of homelessness and poverty. Unfortunately, on average, children experiencing homelessness are 2 to 3 years behind in their education, and only 25% graduate from high school.
I like school so much. Yes, because it's fun being there. I can actually get back on my learning stuff because I'm not focusing anymore on my learning because I haven't been at school so much from all the days I have missed.
What we've really found is that attendance is really linked to academic achievement. So if you're missing lots of school, you're going to struggle, basically. And the more school you miss, the more you're going to, be at higher risk for dropout, etc.
Have you had to move a lot of times?
Yeah.
How many times would you say?
Uncountable.
I went to Rockdale. My brother didn't go. He was like 4. I went to Rahill. He didn't go. I went to Maya. He went. And I went to this school. Maya was the one I went before this school, so 4 schools.
I just started going to Riverside Academy. Before I went to the Math and Science. Then Hayes Porter, I do not like it there because they don't wear uniforms. I like wearing uniforms because I have to pick out my clothes more. Like I don't know what to wear. So then I can't think of where else I went to Riverside.
transportation is typically thought of as a barrier to children experiencing homelessness because those children are typically what we consider highly transient, so they move schools often. And when you move schools often or you're moving housing locations, it's sometimes very difficult for schools or for other agencies to coordinate that transportation.
Why does it make you sad?
Because I used to have some friends there.
It's just kind of difficult moving school to school because it's just like I'm making new friends and then like an hour late, not like a month later, I leave them friends, and then I go make friends. A month later, I leave them friends. Then if I leave this school, I've been here over a month, so like 3 or 4 months. So it's like they're like my family, but they're not. They're like best friends. So it's like leaving my family.
Well, it can be very difficult. And, one day you've got all your friends, you've got, essentially a support system, and then literally the next day you have nobody. So it can be a difficult thing. Sometimes you'll see a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment when it comes to this moving, or when people said, "So how come you moved?" Just anecdotally, just being in the schools, you hear, "Oh yeah, my dad got a new job in Cincinnati at P&G, so now we moved from California to here." Whereas a kid goes, "Well, we got kicked out of my mom's house, and now we're." So it can be very difficult. It really ties into a lot of the notions of shame and embarrassment that children will feel.
I need more school clothes, like in pants and stuff, and shirts, like for the summertime, skirts and and jumpers, and more shoes. Because I need almost all school supplies that I can get. Some more folders, pencils, glue, bottles, or the sticks, and rulers, notebooks.
The children come in unprepared, and that's what's difficult is sometimes, if you're in place one and you have to leave to go to place two, you don't always get to bring all your stuff. Or when you're bringing things, you're bringing things that are more along the lines of, my clothes, or, this is my favorite toy. You're not really thinking pencils or pens or papers or even homework sheets. So sometimes the material possessions can be one of the most difficult things because children come in and then teachers wonder, how come you don't have a pen? How come you don't have a pencil? How come you don't have crayons? You don't have paper, you don't have your homework, and it kind of creates these more and more problems. So you'll see that eventually leads to children becoming less engaged in school, less hopeful about school, and then that eventually leads to higher risk for dropout and truancy, etc.
I'm not okay with the process.
Why not?
Because people going back and forth in our room, I can't deal with it with them bugging me. I don't like it at all.
I miss having a stable place.
Lots of kids, and I like to play with kids, but it's too much.
Is it hard to get homework done too here?
Yeah, with all the loudness, all the loudness, I can't take it.
This idea of parentified children, it's academically, it's fascinating to observe. It breaks your heart when you observe it, but it's very interesting. A lot of these children are experiencing things that most adults will never experience. A lot of these children have to think like adults. Sometimes you just see things come down to survival. These kids know how to survive. And when you do that, you don't get an opportunity to be a kid. So you'll hear things from kids that are very, very adult. So like if you volunteer coach baseball, for example, "Coach, I need to leave practice at 2. My younger brother and my other brother get home from school, at 2:30. I have to go pick them up, and then I have to make sure dinner's on the table so we can all eat." So you'll hear things like that, and it sounds funny when you hear an 8-year-old do it, but when you sit down and think about it, that can be a very difficult thing. So that's actually one of the biggest risks for dropout is when children have to take on these parental roles.
My mom, because she has a baby, and it's icy and stuff outside, and I worry about if she had to go to the hospital or if she had the baby while we at school, and my baby brother, the one out there, the 2-year-old, and I worry if he's okay, that he gets sick, anything, everything. I'm going to get to a good college and graduate from high school and move up to 5th and 6th and 7th.
We usually don't have very much money, so we can't go out anywhere.
Do you ever feel like you don't have some of the things that other kids at school have?
Yeah.
What kind of things do they have?
Popularity, houses.
When children are missing out on these normal experiences, that makes it difficult for them as adults. So if you haven't had these experiences, if you haven't had these frames of reference, it becomes very, very, very difficult as an adult to have some of the same things. So I was at the transitional housing facility, and I noticed the kids just about every day would just cross this really, really busy street to go to the convenience store. And when they come out, they'd have milk and usually some sort of snack, right? And they'd have milk, and I would just go, that's weird, we have milk in the fridge. So I was like, okay. So I finally sat down and I talked to them and I said, hey, you guys, how come you guys go to the convenience center for milk? Well, I says, well, we don't have it here. And I'm like, wait, let me show you guys in the fridge. And I showed the fridge and I pulled out a gallon of milk and I said, see, we got milk. So that's not milk. And I said, yeah, I know it's skim, but it's milk. And he goes, no, milk doesn't come like that. And I was like, okay. He goes, no, milk only comes in pints. They had no frame of reference. They didn't know, one, milk was going to be kept in the fridge. They didn't know the fridge was always on. They didn't know the fridge is where he kept food. They didn't know that milk came in gallons. So those type of, so imagine if you're not having just that type of experience. I mean, and that's a relatively innocuous one, but imagine extrapolating that to something else, to something major, and that's where you see kids will have a tough time.
Although children experiencing homelessness are often dealing with issues far beyond their years, they are still kids, finding joy in life and wishing for similar things as their housed peers.
I play badminton, I play football, basketball, and soccer. I play fire engine. I wish the snow could go away so I could ride my bike. I love all the places that I lived in. And I love the schools that I go to. And I love my friends. Happy dance.
I've been praying for her sister.
I wish I could be big. A doctor.
I'm going to be a police officer.
I want to be a Power Ranger.
I've been thinking about being a veterinarian to help dogs and cats and stuff.
Maybe a laser technician or work in the mint.
In order to achieve the big dreams they identified, these children will need to continue their education and achieve academic success. Now that you know more about the barriers standing in the way of their education, you can understand that they face challenges in even just getting to school and having necessary supplies, let alone in actually succeeding academically. School supplies and transportation may seem like insignificant details, but they can add up to making or breaking a child's future by keeping them connected to their education. Each child who experiences homelessness is so much more than a statistic. They have wisdom and insight beyond their years, and only they can truly explain what it feels like to be in their shoes. We hope that this video proves that when you let children speak for themselves, the results can often teach us more than any statistic ever could. Fortunately, there are organizations and programs around the country that are trying to assist children experiencing homelessness by working to remove the barriers to education discussed in this film. Here in Cincinnati, Faces Without Places is a nonprofit with precisely this mission.
Faces Without Places empowers lives by removing educational barriers and providing enrichment opportunities to children experiencing homelessness. We achieve this mission through educational enrichment programming, school supplies and transportation, and other services to thousands of children in Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky each year. We rely on community members like you to help us achieve this mission. There are many ways to help, including volunteering, donating money or items, or spreading word about childhood homelessness. Please check out our website for more information on how to get involved and to take the first steps to making a difference in the lives of children experiencing homelessness.
I really do hope that the homeless has what they need and stuff.
The reason I want the power to create is so that we can all the people in this building and all the other homeless shelters can have a house and a stable income.